Okay, let's go. Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we are going to be reviewing two awesome figures from the brand new FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity line. And I know what you're thinking, Scorp, I've never heard of FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity. That looks like some sort of weird He-Man knockoff. Well, this is not a He-Man knockoff. I would say this is more of a spoof, a parody, satire, if you will. For these figures were born from an idea based on a hobby that thrills us and infuriates us at the same time. A hobby that excites us and confuses us with its nuances, its exclusives, chase variants, and sellout figures. And of course, that hobby is toy collecting. And the man that dared to dream of this bold new line of action figures? The Mad Hatter. Yes, the Mad Hatter is a YouTuber, and he is a toy reviewer, and he reviews a lot of cool stuff like Ninja Turtles and He-Man, Simpsons, and Thundercats, a lot of stuff that we kind of review on this channel. But anyway, a couple years ago, he got really mad when he couldn't get an exclusive Mattel Creations $1 figure, and he created this figure based on another character that he's done called Flipper Frank, which is a flipper who likes to scalp toys. But anyway, he created this Flipper character that's supposed to exist in the land of He-Man, and he drew him out, and over the next few months, people really started to take a shine to the character, and there became an avenue for the Mad Hatter to actually create this Flipper character. He got together with a group of other fine individuals who could do different things that could make this dream figure become a reality. So on March 1st, 2024, they launched a Kickstarter campaign trying to collect $100,000 in which they would be able to produce the FLAK-R action figure. Well, the campaign exploded, and 7 days into this 30-day adventure, they had already raised $100,000. Unlocked 3 variants and accessories, and the Flipper train was still going full speed ahead. So much the fact that the Mad Hatter had to scramble to come up with new stuff to put out for stretch goals. And he did. And everything that he put out just was lapped up by the fans because it was so hilarious, and the campaign just kept rocketing along. At the end of it, they had raised $203,623. They had Flipper, FLAK-R, Catcha, Gotcha, Botcha, Flakebots, Flipbots, and a whole slew of accessories. The thing was just insane, and they just did something really incredible here, and I am very happy to be able to bring to you 2 of those figures, the main man Flipper and his arch nemesis FLAK-R, and I can't wait to look at them. But first off, we gotta take a look at the packaging, because each of these awesome figures comes in a little mailer box. It is nice, it is white, it says FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity, and this is a really neat box, and it opens up and all the stuff is going to be in there, because there was just so much stuff that you could not put in just a little blister card. So anyway, taking a look at the blister cards, we're going to move the Catcha and Gotcha. We'll explain those a little later, so we can take a look at these awesome packaging of FLAK-R and FLAK-R. Now, looking at the front of the packaging, it is going to be the same on both of these figures. For the most part, you have FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity, and then you have the character's name, FLAK-R, Satirical Lord of Flipping, and then you have FLAK-R, and please excuse the language, but this is his name, fucking lazy asshole killer robot. And then you have the characters right here in the packaging of the blister card, and you can see inside you got a lot of cool accessories behind them, and that is neat. And another thing that I think is interesting on this packaging, because it's cool, you got the lightning in the background and the coins flipping, but you also have this weird little warning on all of these products that says, "This is not a toy. Warning, choking hazard, small parts, not suitable for children under 3 years old because they'll want to eat it." So if you're not 3 years old, I'm sorry, you can't have this. Anyway, we do get some differences when we turn to the back of the blister card, and you have some different card art here at the top of the packaging. And starting off with Flipper, let's scroll in real close there. It says, "Flipper and his scepter of FOMO freezes time to snatch action figures before anyone can reach them." And you have Flipper there, and he has his scepter of FOMO here, and another character that we're not really sure about yet, and that looks pretty neat. And then going down the back of the card, you have spring flipping action, you have stores, toys, and backpack, and locate exclusive with the flip detector. Now, I think they changed this from what it was originally, because I remember in the description when Mad Hatter was talking about it, this used to be a gauge that would turn all red when he had too much stuff in his backpack and it was time to go and flip the stuff or sell it. And then we got Flipper, the Satirical Lord of Flipping, a cutthroat merchant who only looks out for his own bottom line. And then we have the other figures in the line. You have Flipper, you have FLAK-R, you have the Flake Bots, and you have the Flip Bots. And then on the bottom, you do have some credits for the box of everyone who took part in making this monumentous item, and that is great. This is an awesome team, and I'd like to thank every one of you for putting this out and showing that a dream can come true. Now, this is pretty much going to be the same on the FLAK-R box until you get to the accessories side, where it says that he has evil robot clone of Flipper and spring flipping action, which that's the same, but it has the FLAK-R colored scooper. And then you have the artwork up here at the top, and it says FLAK-R waits to ambush Flipper with his Flip Life knuckle dusters. And then you have a brief read up of FLAK-R right here that says, "FLAK-R, evil doppelganger bot originally created by Flipper, who now seeks revenge on his creator." So there's a little bit of mad drama going on there, and that is going to be the back of the packaging of both of these figures. Really nicely done, and I love it, and this is really cool. And that is Flipper and FLAK-R in the box. But I know what you're thinking. You don't want to see Flipper or FLAK-R in the box. I know, I don't. So let's get them out and see how nefarious they can be. Now, before we take a look at the figures, I want to take a closer look at this packaging. We did a quick run through of it when the figures were in the box, but when you take them out of the box, the packaging reveals some really cool stuff. First off, the packaging is just done in this plastic cover, and you have the card which just slides into the back and keeps all of the stuff in place. And this is reusable, so you could put it back in there when you're done, so you don't have to throw it away, and you could put the figures back in the case and it still looks great. And both of these cards have a very special dedication to them. So if we want to pull both of these out so we can see it, it is the same dedication, of course, but taking a closer look here, we do have the Renders FX symbol there with the little green Scully guy, and it says this line of action figures was sculpted by Ryan Indersby whose dedication to his art was unmatched. These figures are made in dedication of his memory. So yeah, he's the one who created all the initial images of FLAK-R and FLAK-R, and sadly he passed away, but he was able to create these awesome figures before he left. Now, we've seen the back of the cards, and they have the individual cross sales and the special artwork here at the top, but both of these cards can open up, and when they open up, you have an awesome picture of the Target Marketplace. Yes, the Target Marketplace is a place in Nefaria where people can go and shop, and it is a very nicely done drawing. And if you look at this thing for a long period of time, you will start to notice a lot of cool details. You can see graffiti written on the walls that says cool things, and then you see other things that are in the marketplace to buy. Like there's a whole rack of comic books there that you can see that are in Nefarity. You have a wanted poster for FLAK-R right here, and there's another one down here on the ground to get a closer look. You can see the people just milling around. You can see a Botcha hiding there behind that lady, and then you can see some other people. This little fella, and he has that weird character toy in his hand there, and then there's just some other cool stuff that you will notice as you look around this beautiful artwork by Mr. Steve Bino. Thank you very much, Mr. Bino, for that awesome artwork that you have contributed here. And this is kind of like a backdrop, so you can put the figures in front of it if you are so inclined. And you got the nice Target symbols back there. We'll get into those a little later. So yeah, this is a really cool piece of artwork, and it comes on each of the Champions of Nefarity figures. And that is just a cool little part of the packaging I wanted to go over. So now let's get to the awesome action figures. And here we have FLAK-R and FLAK-R out of the packaging. And out of the packaging, they stand approximately 6 inches tall. And as you can see, they come with a plethora of accessories. So many, in fact, that some of these accessories are doubled up because they come with both figures. And I just narrowed it down to where you can get one of each of the accessories out here. And so when we go through them, I will tell you which accessory comes with each figure and who gets what. But right now, as you can see, this was a very successful Kickstarter, and there was a lot of stuff. Now, usually when we have 2 figures, we will look at them one at a time, but this is basically the same sculpt and molded figure. The only difference is going to be the paint job and the head sculpt. So with that being the case, I think we could look at them both together. So let's get started. And taking a closer look at FLAK-R and FLAK-R, you can definitely see the Masters of the Universe inspirations that they used when creating these figures. For starters, they have the big beefy arms, they have the bracers, they have the nice belts that go across and the loincloths, they have the big bulky legs and the furry boots. That is really neat, and they are just nicely done figures. Now, a little bit of lore about the figures. You see, FLAK-R here is a toy scalper, and he goes around and he tries to get as many toys as he can, and he uses various gadgets to do that, and he needs help to do it, so he's created Flipbots, and FLAK-R here was the first Flipbot that he created, but this one was not very well programmed, and he didn't do what he was supposed to, and he was lazy, and all he wanted to do was watch TV, and he was just a wreck. So FLAK-R kind of got rid of him, trashed him, and then somebody came along, found FLAK-R, rebuilt him, and from that point on, FLAK-R has had an innate hatred towards FLAK-R for abandoning him, discarding him like a piece of trash, and has vowed to make his life a misery and try to destroy him in any way he can. Anyway, So that is the history between these two, and they are the same sculpt and mold, as you can see. And I think it's really cool that you could just take the same figure, do the paint job up a little bit differently, give it kind of an alternate head, and you got completely different characters. But Hasbro has been doing it for years with Transformers, so this is nothing new. Alright, so let's get in a little closer and take a look at Flipper himself first. And coming right in on his head sculpt, it is a very nicely done head sculpt. It is built inside of a nice hoodie, and you can see you got some nice eyebrows, some eyes, nice sharp nose, you got a goatee there with a little smirky smile. Coming around to the back of the head, you got the little points on the hood. I like that. Also at the front, it's very nicely done. I think they did a good job doing this head sculpt. And let's see, let us scroll out just a little bit so we can take a look at the chest. And the chest is all done in gray, and then you have a little bit of detail here on the shoulders, and then you have his centerpiece. And again, depending on what you read, this was either a gauge that would fill up completely red and tell him when it was time to sell his merchandise, or it's a radar of sorts that would indicate where valuable items are, and that is really neat. Coming to his arms, they are big and bulky. You have a nice golden bracer on his right arm, and on his left, he has the fabled loot scooper. And basically this is a really nicely done piece. It is all gold and painted well. You got a lot of good detail in this scoop, and you can put some stuff in here, and it's supposed to scoop into his backpack, and it is really neat. And all the way around the back you have a lot of great detail, and at the top here you do have some fuzzy fur detail which will slide onto his hand and make it a little more comfortable, I'd imagine. And that's nice ratchet joint, so we'll get more into that into articulation. But coming down, you have a nice golden belt. This is very nicely done. Got a lot of detail on that belt. It goes all the way around. You can see the details. They did not skimp on the detail or the paint. I love that. And then he has his nice fuzzy trunks, and that is good. They go down a little longer than your normal Masters of the Universe trunk would do, but that's okay. Coming down, you do have some nice beefy legs and some fuzzy boots. That is really neat. Underneath, you just got some more detail that goes around the midsection with the trunks. And at the bottom of the feet, you do got some peg holes where if you'd like to post him somewhere, you can. Coming to the back of the figure, nothing that you wouldn't expect here, and that is really, really neat. Now, what's interesting about this is nowhere on the figure do I see copyright details. So that was an interesting little aspect I think the Mad Hatter could have put on this figure, maybe at the thighs or something that said Hatter Toys, something like that. But I do not see that here. Maybe it's on one of the accessories. Who knows? All right, and that is going to be a Flipper. So moving on to his nemesis FLAK-R, which is done in the Faker He-Man colors. You know, in Masters of the Universe, you had the He-Man and then FLAK-R, which was done in orange and blue. Again, this is going to be the exact same sculpt and mold. The head sculpt is a little different because this is kind of a beat-up head. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the FLAK-R head. Let me get him a Flipper out of the way and then zoom in here. Now, this head sculpt for FLAK-R here looks like a beat up version of Flipper, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be like. Now, when Flipper decided he needed to build some robots, FLAK-R here was his first attempt, and he basically scanned himself and then made the mold for FLAK-R from himself. And at the time, he had gotten beat up. So this is what he looked like. And he didn't take the time to fix the mold to make it look all nice and neat He just let it go how it was, and that's why FLAK-R has this beat-up looking face. That's just how he was when he was scanned. And as you can see, it's a nicely done head sculpt. You got a little bruising for the eye over here, and you got a band-aid on the nose, a missed teeth. So it is very humorous. And he's got his goatee, and he's got the same hoodie. It's orange, and comes down at the back and the front. And zooming out, you do have a orange chest coming down to a black centerpiece here, and you can see there are 3 little dots on here. That would indicate that, yeah, there are 3 valuable items that FLAK-R may try to get before Flipper does. So yeah, and then you got the blue arms instead of the flesh tone. You got a nice dark black bracer here. The scoop is now a orangish metallic color. I think that is really neat. Belt, you got black, and then you have the same orangish highlights for the details on the belt. That is really cool. This is a nicely designed, like that paint. That is a very cool paint job, and I like the black on gold motif. Coming down, you got the blue legs and then the black boots like you would on Flipper. And coming to the back, nothing again that we haven't seen before or that is any different on the figure. So yeah, those are the 2 figures. They look really neat together, and the concept is just hilarious, I think. And that's what your Flipper and your FLAK-R are going to look like. Moving on. And for our articulations, starting with Flipper's head, it can go around 360 degrees. It can look down a little bit. It can look up a little bit. It can wiggle waggle left and right. So there is a lot of good motion in this head like that. Coming to the shoulders, shoulders can come up from the body and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees. On the left shoulder, it is ratcheted. That is really nice. On the right shoulder, again, up, down, 360 degrees around. Coming down, you do not have a bicep rotation, but you do have a nice elbow hinge. It's not 90 degrees. You do get a little bit of a bend in there, but because the muscle is so big and the hinge is kind of small, there's not a lot of places for it to go, so you do just get a slight bend there, but that's okay. It's something. You do have a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming down to a hand rotation, 360 degrees, and the hands are hinged so they can go in and out, down and up, depending on where you have the hinge. And over here on the left side, you do have a mechanism built into the arm which operates the scooper. So if you push it down, it will automatically go back up. That is really cool. It goes really far up, and you can like just basically work this thing around if you want to. That is cool. And it's gonna ratchet like we said before. And you do get the elbow bend there, but it's very slight. And then you can pull the scoop off, and then you can replace it with a regular hand if you're so inclined. But I think I love the scoop idea, and I think I always have mine with a scoop on. That is so cool. All right, coming down to the chest. He does not have any ab crunch, but he does have 360 degrees waist articulation, like such. Coming down to his legs. Legs can move up just a little bit, not much, and they can't move back a lot because the butt gets in the way, but you can get them out to the side like your normal Motu figures, so that is really neat. Thigh rotation, you got a couple clicks there, left and right. Coming down to a knee bend. There you go, a little slight knee bend. That is good, and then that will bring you down to a boot cut. The boot will go around 360 degrees, so that is cool. Bringing you down to the foot, and the foot can hinge down and up, and it can rock left and right. So you got a lot of good articulation in the foot. So there you go. Is it limited? kind of, but it is based on a Mo2 figure, and their articulation has always been slightly limited, but you do get a lot of cool features in here, and the FLAK-R articulation is the same as the FLAK-R articulation, so whatever you saw Flipper do, FLAK-R can do the same. Alright, and that is your articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, both FLAK-R and FLAK-R come with these awesome glasses. Now, the glasses for FLAK-R are broken, so you see a little bit of crushed detail on this lens here, and that is pretty neat. Now, these glasses aren't just regular glasses, they are like Google Glass, in which case he can look at things and tell immediately if they are worth any type of value. They help him out when he's looking for treasure, and that is really neat. And they will slide right into his face, and there are 2 holes on each side of the head, and there you go. If you're trying to remove them, be very careful. They are very fragile. Definitely use caution. Alright. And for the next item that FLAK-R and FLAK-R have, they have their backpacks. And these are nicely done backpacks, sculpted really well. They are pretty much the same except for the paint job. The FLAK-R backpack is a dark gray, whereas the FLAK-R is black. And the straps on the FLAK-R are brown with some gold buckles. And the FLAK-R straps are the same black with some orangish gold buckles. And that is really neat. Take a look at just one of these backpacks. You can see there is a lot of cool detail that is molded in there. I don't know exactly what all this stuff is supposed to be, but it is cool nonetheless. Coming to the top, you have a big, huge open space where you can put stuff in, and on the bottom you have some cool stuff right here, and there is the back that just slides onto the character, and you can latch it right here at the straps, this little peg and port system. And that is really cool. When you take it and you take it off, you can actually disassemble it even further by pushing it up, and then it will come off of the back. It has this really neat clipping system that keeps it in place, and I love that. That is not going to go anywhere, and it's not going to fall off or anything, so that is a really neat designed backpack that they came up with for FLAK-R and FLAK-R, and that is going to be their backpacks. And the next accessory they both share are money bags. Yes, these are great looking money bags. You get 2 different ones. You get one that's open and exploding full of money. And there's a really nice, you got all the money molded in there. That is cool. It's a nice brown sack. Got a little bit of rope up here at the top. And you have a beautiful golden $sign on the bag. That is really neat. And you do got a nice flat bottom so it can sit wherever you want to have it. And then you have the closed money bag. It's tied up, and you have the money sign there, and a very long end where they can hold this in their hands if you're so inclined, and it looks really great. They can both hold their money, and if you want to put the open bag in the scooper, that'll work too, so they can go around and flaunt their treasures and their wealth. And I think that is hilarious. And for FLAK-R and FLAK-R's next accessory, they come with these awesome cloth capes. They are hilarious. It was at this point in the reveal that I realized that I was going to have to get a FLAK-R because this was just too hilarious to pass up. Now, they both come with these cloth good capes. One is red and one is yellow, starting with FLAK-R's red cloak. This is the cloak of Tarjay. Yes, Tarjay is a famous marketplace in Nefarity, and this is a red cloak that the employees wear, and there is a little symbol here that will go onto FLAK-R's chest when he is wearing the cloak. It may resemble something you've seen before or not. And basically, FLAK-R wears this cloak so he can get into Tarjay and get all of the exclusives because he pretends to be an employee. Well, not being undone, the evil FLAK-R has come up with a yellow cloak. And this yellow cloak is the Shroud of Walmaria. And he also comes with a little chest emblem that will be replaced that he will wear when he is donning the Shroud of Walmaria. And this is really cool. This lore is just hilarious. And these cloaks are nice cloth goods, and you get bendy wire in there, and it is so cool. And they can wear these around and look all official when they are in their respective marketplaces. And it's just so funny. And this is going to be a good time to take off the backpack from the harness so the cape can sit flush on the back. And like I said before, it was a very smart move on the Mad Hatter's part in order to sell a FLAK-R figure if you weren't going to get them to begin with. I think a lot of people were, but this basically just put it over the top for a lot of folks. Alright, and those are your capes. And for accessories, we talked about how they both had an alternate left hand to replace the scoop. Now, they do have one other accessory that they both share in common, but for the most part, that is going to be all the same ones that they come with. Now, coming to FLAK-R specific accessories, he comes with his watch, and this is a really nicely done watch. You can see it's done in a nice gold paint, and you got the different times in there, and you got the dials at the top, and on the back you just have a flat surface. He can hold this, and it tells him when it's time to get specific items, or to bid on items, or to try to snag items. But this is an enchanted watch, for this is not only just a watch, it is the Scepter of FOMO. For when he holds it in his hands and he yells FOMO, it will turn into the mystic Scepter of FOMO. And this is a beautiful, beautiful weapon accessory. It's very nicely done. You can see the watch parts up here at the top. You still got the times, and you got some molded detail in there, and it comes down to a nice scepter handle that is really cool. On both sides you got the same thing, and then you got the little dials here, and this is really cool. And it's an enchanted weapon, and it has the power of the Time Bringer. Yes, and that is a mystic move. That time is an acronym for Tears in My Eyes. So whenever he uses this, he can stop time, and it brings tears into the eyes of the people who are trying to get the accessories that he just walks on in and gets, because he cannot be stopped, because he has the Scepter of FOMO. And this is just a fun little thing. And like I said before, this is exclusive only to FLAK-R. So FLAK-R doesn't get this, but he has his own unique type of weapons. He comes with a set of alternate fist hands, and they have some knuckle busters on there. Let's say Flip Life. So there's a bunch of brass knuckles that he could put those on, and he could go to town punching whoever he needs to punch. Probably FLAK-R. If he can ever get his hands on him, then that is really neat. So that is what he gets instead of the Scepter of FOMO for weapons. But that's not all. He also comes with a second set of hands. He has a pair of devil horn hands that he could put on and wave around. So, yeah, cool. So FLAK-R is not a shortage of hands to have, and different expressions that you can do for a killer robot. That's pretty nice, I suppose. And FLAK-R's final accessory is this alternate head, and this is a more normalized head that lets him look a lot like FLAK-R, and he will wear this. It's only temporary. He only has enough energy to don it for a few minutes or hours or so, and it is very nicely done. You have a neat little dot there on the glasses to call back to Terminator, because he is a killer robot. And it is really cool, and he could wear this and look like Flipper and set up deals and flake out on them and make everybody get mad at Flipper who aren't already mad at Flipper, and ruin his bad reputation even more. So that is something that FLAK-R can do, and this is, pretty neat little head for him, and that will do it for FLAK-R's standard accessories. And finally, the last accessory that both FLAK-R and FLAK-R come with are their cute, adorable little robot cat companions. And for FLAK-R, you have Katja, and for FLAK-R, you have Gotcha. And these are cute little cat robots, and they are their own unique characters, and they even come in their own exclusive packaging. Take a look at the packaging. First off, on this side, you have the dreaded Katja, and that is FLAK-R's pet. And then on the right side, you have the devious Gotcha, which is FLAK-R's pet. They are all done like this, so you only need one box to cover all of them. On the left side of the box, you have an army builder called a Botcha, which is a little robot cat that answers to Katja. So he has his own little minions, sort of like FLAK-R having the Flipbots and FLAK-R having the Flakebots. And coming to the bottom of the packaging, you do have some credits for the box, and this is really neat. This is the copyright material for everyone who was involved in creating this little Katja, Gotcha, and Botchas. And on the top of the box, you have the awesome Hatter Toys symbol. That is really nice. I like that. And finally, coming to the back of the box, we have a little cross-sell of all of the different Katjas, Botchas, Gotchas you have in this particular wave. Almost. Now, as you can see, you have the Katja here, and this has got a little sticker on it, and if you open up the box, you do get a cool little sticker sheet, and this will have a sticker of all of the different cat robots that you can collect, and this one was the Katja, so they went ahead and took the Katja sticker off and stuck it there, and then you would have a Botcha sticker, and then a Gotcha sticker, and then you have the other FLAK-R variants like the Stealth Suit, which is this black one, the Perfect Gold, the Glow in the Dark, and the Customizable Dream. But that leaves two blank spots, and these have question marks on them. So there are going to be two mysterious little cat robots out there somewhere that the Mad Hatter will eventually release details about and how to get them. I bet they're going to be exclusive to somewhere, and that is neat, and I can't wait for that. But anyway, that is the packaging for the little Katjas. And taking a look at the Katja himself, he is very, very adorable. And we'll move Gotcha out of the way for a little bit and get him out of the focus. Katja here is just a little robot, and he is done in the design of a calico cat. He's got some very beautiful metallic red eyes. I like that. He has some nice orange up here and some pink for the inside of the ears, some black on this side, and some more pink inside of those ears. He has a nice pink nose and some silver little circles here coming down, some black wires, and just a lot of cool detail on this guy. Some silver at the bottom, coming around to the side, you got some vents. That is really neat. And on the back, you do have another vent here and a tail, which is kind of like a little gear shifter, so it can turn around. So that is really neat. On the bottom, he does have 3 wheels, and that will allow him to roll around. That is cool. I like that. Let's zoom out just a little bit. Oh, knock him over. Now, the cool thing about him is if you lift up under his nose, his mouth will open. Well, it's not really his mouth, but he has a compartment that opens up. And inside, there is a little keyboard. And this is really cool. It's a little keyboard with a blank screen at the moment because fresh out of the packaging it is blank. So we'll zoom in, take a look at this if we can get it into focus. Get out of the way. Gotcha. Alright, so here it is, and you got some keys molded on there and a blank screen. And what you could put on this blank screen, if you go back to the sticker sheet, you do have some little screen stickers, and these are hilarious. And there are a lot of various stickers that you can stick on there, and that is really neat. And once you get your keyboard stickered up, you can come back to catch it, and it will just peg into his belly. And that is really neat. So, yeah, he got a little Catcha there. And then you can bring Gotcha back out. Sorry, Gotcha, I kind of pushed you off to the side. And you can see he is the exact same sculpt and mold, just different color. He's got the beautiful bright orange and the purple color scheme for him. No silver, he's just basically those two colors. And then he has his little tail here, and it can go around 360 degrees like the other. And then his mouth opens up, and you can spit out his little keyboard, and it's done all in orange. And again, he has his own sticker sheet, and you can put this on his tummy, and then there you go. That is gonna be your little Catcha, Gotchas, Botches, and various other ones. They are very cute, and it is a neat little thing that they included this really large accessory with these characters. I think that's a lot to ask for, and they're really fun to play with. All right, and that is gonna be your Catcha and your Gotcha. Moving on. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is FLAK-R and FLAK-R with all of their standard accessories. This was a ton of stuff to look at, to go over, to have. I loved it. But this was a kickstarting campaign, and this was not all of the accessories that we got. No, sir. This is just going to be the standard amount of accessories. If you actually buy one of these FLAK-Rs or FLAK-Rs now, this is what you come with. But during the Kickstarter campaign, they offered a lot more. So let's take a look at what we got for jumping onto the FLAK-R train at the very beginning. When it comes to Kickstarter campaigns, you want to get as many people in as fast as you can because you have a limited amount of time to get your campaign funded. In the FLAK-R and the Champion of Nefarity's case, it was 1 month. So a lot of people will offer what they call an early bird incentive in order to get a lot of people in as fast as they can. And in this particular case, the Mad Hatter changed the name of Early Bird Special to Early Flip the Bird Special. And if you were to buy anything in the campaign in the first 10 days, it would come with a set of alternate hands flipping you the bird. Now, this was hilarious and ridiculous and crazy all at the same time, but it made sense for this particular line of characters and figures. And yeah, it was crazy. Everybody wanted a pair of Flip the Bird hands to go with your flipper. And FLAK-R and the bots, they all got Flip the Bird hands if they ordered within that first 10 days. And it was just a fun, fantastic, crazy idea, and it worked. The campaign funded within the first 7 days, and I'm not sure if it was because everybody wanted to get Flip the Bird hands for their figures, but this idea was unique, and well, there he is. He has the bird hand. You can flip off people, the people he's scamming or the people trying to come after him. But yeah, that is interesting, and that was just the first exclusive accessories for those who were part of the Kickstarter. So the campaign was off and running, and within 7 days they reached the $100,000 goal in order to fund FLAK-R and to unlock the variants. But the Mad Hatter still had some stretch goals in mind. He just didn't have enough time to get everything ready for the renders to be released because the campaign funded so quickly. So what ended up happening was, if they were to reach 200,000, then that would unlock the FLAK-R's Black Eye Friday bundle. And as you may remember, I said that this campaign ended at $203,623, therefore unlocking FLAK-R's Black Eye Friday bundle. And that included a lot of cool stuff. So let's take a look at the FLAK-R's Black Eye Friday bundle. So the first thing in Flipper's Black Eye Friday bundle is an alternate head where he has a black eye. Now this is a alternate head where he's been beat up and he's got some battle damage, his eyes all swollen up, he's got the band-aid on his nose, he's got some blood coming off the side of his face and his nose is bloody, and basically this is the regular FLAK-R head painted in Flipper colors. So yeah, we've seen this head before, but now it's the exclusive stretch goal head for Flipper, and you can wear this and look all beat up and bruised, and it does come with sunglasses. And again, like the FLAK-R, these sunglasses are broken, so yeah, you can have them with them or without it. So again, be very careful when taking off these glasses. As a matter of fact, they did the bundle for all the other characters, and if you had a FLAK-R, you would also get an alternate head, and this is the FLAK-R alternate head. It is a standard robot type head. This is what the FlakeBots and the FlipBots look like, except now he has an orange hood. So this is what FLAK-R looks like underneath his blue skin. You got the nice red eyes there, and he also came with a pair of sunglasses that you can put on there if you want to have him with the sunglass look, and it is really neat. It looks all cool. And this was the first part of Flipper's Black Eye Friday bundle. And the next part of the bundle are these little boxes created by Johnny Nostalgia from Nostalgia Unboxing, and they represent different box items that Flipper can have, and they're little fold-up things, and they're just blank on the other side. But what you do, you'll take them out and you will turn them into these little boxes here, and these are so cute. They are about the size for your character to hold, and they do represent some not exact items, but you can see that they do have some cool stuff. You have Fawn, and you have the Perfect Plastic Turtles Shoebox Edition with Garage Action, which is kind of like a turtle lair, as it were. You have some Silvercocks, you have the Piss Tank, and you have Execucats, kind of, mimicking a lot of familiar things. But what is actual and real is this one, and this is called the Bash Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, and this is actually done by Gilly Does Comics, and this is his line of comics. If you are interested in checking these guys out, I guess I've never really read it or heard of it, but this is part of the bundle, so yeah, that might be something that you'll be interested in. And these are some cool little items that you should see Flipper can hold there and walk away with and put in his backpack, and that is really cool. And the next part of the bundle are the Mystic Cubes of NFT. Now these are basically clear cubes, and they have a mysterious power in them that cannot be seen or touched or felt in any way, but you have to believe that it is in there based on an NFT. And the cubes are different. You have basically a clear cube here, and then you have one that has like crosshairs on it right here, and you get two of them, and they will come with a Flipper or FLAK-R depending on which one you got with the bundle. And to hold these, you also get a set of open palm hands. So if you have a Flipper, it will look like this, and if you have a FLAK-R, it will look like this. And so you have these two awesome open hands. You could say talk to the palm, or you could basically hold your NFT cube like such, and that is pretty neat. And those are two cool items that came with the bundle, but the bundle continues. And as we work our way through the bundle, we have 4 awesome little mini Flipper figures that your Flipper figure could actually hold. And this is really cool. You have each of the Flippers. You have the standard Flipper, you have the stealth suit Flipper, you have the perfect gold Flipper, and you have the glow-in-the-dark Flipper. I wonder, does he really glow in the dark? Let's see. Turn the lights off, and yeah, look at him, he glows in the dark. That is so Cool. All right. Anyway, so yeah, you get these awesome mini figures that your actual flipper or FLAK-R can hold, and in order to do that, they also come with these cool alternate hands that will allow you to grip the packagings. This is really neat, and you get a pair of these, and that is nice, and that is cool. And as you can see, they can hold the packagings really well, and it can go in their backpacks or whatever. So this is cool. This is a great idea, and I love these cute little minifigures. And yes, they can come out of the packaging, and they can go back in there because the packaging is re-securable. It's really fun. And that is finally gonna be all of the accessories that come with FLAK-R and FLAK-R in this Kickstarter. It was amazing. All right, moving on. And for comparison with some figures I thought would fit his scale, here you have the Masters of the Universe Cartoon Collection He-Man, the original Thundercats Panthro, the NECA Toon Ninja Turtles Leonardo, and the Jakks Pacific Homer. And yeah, he's a little off, Homer being a little shorter. But I thought these would be some cool comparisons, and I did think about the Funko Savage World Thundercats, which I think Super 7 kind of put some out in the same scale, and bringing him out, he is actually going to be a little small compared to a FLAK-R, and that's not really the scale. If he was just a little taller, I think he would work, so that is neat. And if you're interested in the Super 7 regular Thundercats, here's the newer version, and he's really tall, so that's not going to work. But I think these figures do kind of match up and can be equal scale to FLAK-R. Alright. And for comparison with FLAK-R, here you have him with the Super 7 Masters of the Universe Skeletor, the Legions of Dooms or Road Warriors Animal from back in the day, the McFarlane Toys DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Scarecrow, and the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder. And these are pretty equal in height and scale with each other, so I think FLAK-R could assemble this group of miscreants to go and lay waste to Nefaria if he was so inclined and had some portals or something. But yeah, this is pretty neat. That is going to be your comparisons. Moving on. And the last thing that they were able to pull off to go into all of the boxes was an actual mini comic, and this is incredible. This is the FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity comic book. Enter the FLAK-R, and you can see FLAK-R there on this cover, and Katya there, and I don't know who that creature is, but anyway, this is an awesome feat. If you open this up, you get some credits for the comic, and then you get some awesome artwork and a story. So it opens up in the Target marketplace, and you have FLAK-R running through the shops there, and then a guy trying to sell him this little cat. He says, "This is great." FLAK-R uses his glasses and finds out that it's negligible, so don't worry about it. And as he's perusing through other things, guards find him, and the guards that he had ripped off previously, they said, "Get him!" And he's like, "Oh God, I gotta go." And so he escapes them initially and runs off, and then he's talking to Katya, and Katya's telling him, "You gotta hurry, this auction is gonna start soon, and you'll miss it if you don't." And he says, "I'll make it." And then he releases his pocket watch, the watch of FOMO, and he screams FOMO, and then it turns into the staff of FOMO, and he goes and attacks more guards, and he keeps running, and he gets to a little point where he thinks he's going to get surrounded, and then he calls his bots, and they come in, and they take out the guards, and then they flip him up over a gate so he could get in there and get in line to get this special orb. And as he gets in line, Katya advises him, like, "Hey, there's too many people, there's only so many, you'll never get it." And he says, "Yeah, watch this." And so he turns on his stealth suit and breaks in line to the very front. But even that is not good enough because there's only one left, and there's one guy in front of FLAK-R, and he taps him on the shoulder and breaks in front of him, gets the final orb, and then, you know, has to get out of there before he gets his butt kicked because they are really mad at him now for breaking in front of him. But anyway, he continues to walk through the streets of Tarjay when he is stopped by this figure on a horse, and the figure says, "Looks like some things will never change." And then FLAK-R recognizes the voice. It's like, "Bay, is that you?" And then she says, "No, Bay was the old me. Call me Evil Bay." Bum, bum, bum. And now introducing a new character. Is it a love interest? Is it an old interest? Is it someone of interest? Yeah, I think it is. And that will be the end of the first issue. And this is dedicated again to Renders FX-R Ryan Endersby. And there he is. That is a nice picture of him. And the dedication does read, "FLAK-R was sculpted by Ryan Endersby, aka Renders FX, who passed away on October 20th, 2024. Action figures was his passion, and we dedicate these figures as a lasting tribute to his work." That is really nice. Then one more page. You have a page of all the figures in the line. FLAK-R, FLAK-R, Flakebot, Flipbot, not the variants, but that's okay. And then you have an advertisement for Headshot Comics, which again I think is the Gilly Does Comics guy, and he did the Rodents of Mayhem thing. And then finally on the back you have the same as the front cover, except it doesn't have any of the words to block the beautiful artwork. So that is really cool. And that is the comic of FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity Enter the FLAK-R. And I can't wait to see more of this story. And I'm sure the Mad Hatter is working on that. And this will be a fun journey to continue on. All right. And that is going to be your comic book. Moving on. And this has been the Hatter Toys, FLAK-R and the Champions of Nefarity, FLAK-R versus FLAK-R. And oh my goodness, this was a lot to unpack and review. But I am so happy that I was able to review this. I am so happy that this came to being, because this was an idea from a single man who had a dream, and this is the reality because a whole bunch of people got together and believed in that dream and thought that it was a very cool idea. This is a parody of the life of a toy collector, and I am just impressed and inspired about what can be now that this has come into the world. Now, when it comes to what this is, this was a Kickstarter. This was a whole bunch of fans who rallied around the Mad Hatter, and he had a genius idea, and everything that he came out with in this Kickstarter was just hilarious, and it made the fans want more and more and more, and to the point where now that the first wave is complete, I'm sure a second wave is on the way, because we've already gotten details of what that second wave would entail, and some more in-depth drawings of some of the characters like Tosser. Gosh, that looks like such a fun character. And the shopping cart vehicle. Oh my gosh, I got my eye on that. So definitely am looking forward to that. But anyway, back to what we have here. The figures themselves were all basically one sculpt, one mold, just variant paint jobs, and the head sculpts were different. And that was really enough to add a lot of character to each of these figures. The articulation was good. You had a basic articulation. Now, because the way the figure is designed, you couldn't get a lot in the arms and the knees. They were big and bulky, so you couldn't get your standard 90 degree, but that's okay. You did get an arm gimmick, which would flip anything that you had in his little scooper, and that is neat. You don't see that a lot these days. The paint job was really good for being an independent project. I loved it. And that brings us to the hilarious accessories. Everything in here was just phenomenal. It was great. It was funny. And there is a lot to keep up with. So starting off, the first thing we looked at was the glasses. The glasses are very fragile, so I would suggest being very careful if you want to remove the glasses. All the glasses can come off, and they do have eyes underneath them, and it's really neat to look at. But again, be very careful when you're removing them. They are kind of brittle. I do have a few stress marks on mine where I kind of pushed a little too hard on them, but that's okay. The backpack is a fun little thing. You can put stuff in the backpack, or you can just take it off if you're so inclined. Makes the figure a little easier to stand. It did offset his weight when you had the backpack on, but you move their legs around a little bit and you'll get him to stand perfectly good. The money bags were great. I loved the watch and the scepter of FOMO, fear of missing out. That was great. Flickers, Flip Life, Knuckles, they were fun. The Cloak of Tarjay and the Shroud of Walmara, great. Perfect. Brilliant marketing scheme in order to buy both of these figures, because you can't have just one of the cloth good capes. You have to have them both. The Catcha and the Gotcha, very cool little accessories. I enjoyed playing around with them. I love the fact that they roll around and they open up so you can put stuff in there. Very fun. And the little figures are great. They are actually little figures, and one of them that glows in the dark is really nice. The little toy boxes I love. You can add them to many different displays, so they're always fun to have around. The cubes of NFT. It's hilarious in itself, even though they're just little cubes. I like that we got two of them. Couldn't stop laughing at them. They are great. The early Flip the Bird special hands are unique and fun. Finally, the comic book, very good. I love the artwork. The story leaves you wanting more and trying to figure out who Evil Bay is, and it's just fun. And nice dedication to Renders FX there. I love that. And this is just an awesome set. And basically that's everything. I think that's everything. This pack was just full of so much stuff that the Mad Hatter crammed in there to make this thing a success. But I really think that even if we just had half of this stuff, the campaign was kind of fun, because it was such a great idea. It's such a cool concept, and it was just a fun ride. And it is a dream come true. I keep saying that, but I want to emphasize that so much, that just because you're one person, just because you think your idea doesn't matter, it does, and it can come to life if you have enough people to believe in you and stand behind you, and you make the right moves. So this, again, is amazing. And I know what you're asking. You're asking yourself, Scorp, where can I get some flippers? Because this review made me want to go out and grab some up. Now, that's going to be a challenge, because right now they were available on Big Bad Toy Store, but they have since sold out. If you go to Toy Stalker, you can still find some available, I think, but the quantity is going to be in limited supply. And if you're really desperate, go to eBay. I'm sure you'll find them there. And this has come a full circle from what it was supposed to be. Going to eBay to find a flipper and getting scalped by a flipper. And I think that is the ultimate joke from the Mad Hatter. Oh, okay. So this video has probably gone on a long time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night. And until next time, keep playing.